Yo, what's up there, YouTube? This is what Doozy 1929 here with another episode of GTA Autos. Now, before then, I was talking about the last episode. We talked about the classic Tornado Custom, and I mentioned that I was going to redo the 811 video because it didn't record. I did two 811 videos, but they did not record my voice because I had these settings wrong. So right now, we have the 811 right in front of me. Everybody's seen the 811. Everybody's driven it. But what I like to do is I like to give people the opportunity to get first glance view of what the car probably is. Now, I know it's been a whole week since since this thing came out, and of course we have the new 770. I think that's what it's called. So yeah, I'm still gonna do the content on this car. I don't know if I'm gonna do the 770 because I'm right now saving money to get more cars, and the 770 is not on my list. So hopefully in the future I will be able to afford that car because, like I said, I'm an upcoming YouTuber. I don't have a lot of money like all these other YouTubers have when it comes to playing Grand Theft Auto. So right now, just oops, sorry. Right now, I'm just, I've accidentally left, so, right now it should come back. Hopefully my voice is still recording. But, what was I, talking about? Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to have the money to afford that car. But, the reason why I do these videos is because I like to give people the information before you start thinking about buying these cars. Now, there's not a chance of me ever trying to afford to get these cars, but surprisingly, I did have the money to get this car because I had to sell a few cars to support this one, and I promised myself I was going to get this car. But I've noticed on YouTube that sometimes there's a lot of big YouTubers that do this stuff. I'm just a small upcoming YouTuber who lives in a small town, so I see a lot of people doing these YouTube videos about these cars, but sometimes they don't always go into more detail. Like they like doing it real quick. You know, I understand it's probably good for them, but some people, not a lot of them, would like to, you know, stop and give detail of what the car is, what it's based off of. Is it worth buying? Now, some of them do, some of them don't. Some of them do half the stuff I just said, but I would say my downfall is I talk too much and I stutter so much that people will not probably understand some of the stuff I said. But I do give 100%, well, not 100%. My information is not always 100% correct because I'm a car encyclopedia. So I already know what car this is. I already know what car is based off on here. But I'm a car encyclopedia. I know almost a lot of cars that's been made throughout the whole 21st and 20th century, maybe even the 19th century, because of course there was cars being made in the late 19th century. But not all my information is 100% correct. So I always like having my computer side always give me more downs tuned into what the car is. So right now, of course, we're talking about the 811. So the 811, it just came out a week ago, and this is a brand new car. There's nothing special about. There's no doubt about that. This is a very special car. This is a new car. It's new in every sort of way. This is the first time this car has ever been introduced, and this car is based off the the Porsche Carrera GT from 2005, and the Porsche Carrera GT. The name Carrera itself is such a legendary name, named after the word Carrera actually means career and race. So the name Carrera is just so iconic. Carrera is supposed to be a name that's supposed to commemorate the Carrera Pan American race back in the late 40s and the 50s that's been going around back then. So the Carrera basically was Porsche's performance section. Now, Porsche is just brand new. Porsche is generally brand new. So it's brand new. It's not known to the world. So this is 1948. The first car to bear the Carrera name is the Porsche 38. I think it was the 356. The Porsche 356 was the first car to bear the Carrera name, and it was in production from 1948 to 1965. So this car basically had a good run when it comes to having the Carrera name. But there was also other cars that bear the Carrera name. You also had the Porsche 911, of course, the 904, the Porsche 930, the 964, the 993, the 996, the 997, and then you had the 991 and the Porsche 924, and of course we have iconically known the Porsche Carrera GT, which is probably Porsche's fastest production car that they've ever made. The Porsche Carrera GT, when it first came out, was such an oddball. It was Porsche's fastest production car. At one point, this car was actually people still people still trying to determine, is this car a supercar or a hypercar. That's how fast the Porsche Carrera GT is. It's actually almost borderline to hypercar. So this car is pretty quick. Now, if everybody's ever heard of Barrett Jackson, if you're a car nut, you've got to know Barrett Jackson. They always have these specials on TV on Velocity and Discovery. They always have these things called the Barrett Jackson auctions. They always show the auctions live in Scottsdale and other stuff. Now this week they just had it. I forgot where it was, but I know the next one is going to be around in August, around in Las Vegas. But I remember watching one and it had the Porsche Carrera GT on it, and I think it sold for almost $1 million. And that's because they made a lot of the Porsche Carrera GTs. The Porsche Carrera GT is basically that car. There's not a lot of them out there. Porsche only made 1,270 of these cars, and there's no telling how many of them are still left, because you got also some people who decided they want to total theirs, or they got wrecked or something like that. But they were in production from 2004 to 2007, but there's no telling how many cars are left. It had a 6-speed manual, a 5.7 liter V10. This thing came in just a 2-door roadster and a Spyder. And if you don't know what Spyder means, Spyder is basically a European term for saying a car that can have a removable roof or a removable targa roof. And this car is technically generally based off as a Spyder because it has a removable targa roof. So this is the Pfister 811 Spyder. The successor of the Carrera GT was the 918 Spyder, and that ultimately replaced it in 2007. The 98, well, it replaced it in 2013, but the 918 Spyder is basically cool. It was in production from 2013 to 2015 with only 918 units. Now I don't want to get into more detail with that car because it gives me a headache, but these cars are generally really cool. Anything with the Porsche badge name is really cool, and throughout the almost 7 decades in production, Porsche has just been really dishing out really cool cars. And of course, there's a problem when it comes to Porsches. They're awesome cars, but they're really lethal when it comes to being driven. And if you don't know, there's a lot of people who've gotten killed in Porsche accidents, including a lot of famous people, including James Dean, Paul Walker. There's other famous people, but I don't know those two people. But James Dean, of course, in the 60s, he bought a Porsche, and he basically wrecked it and got killed in it. Now, they said that car was cursed, but give me 1 minute, I have a phone call. Alright, I'm sorry, I had a very important phone call. But, yeah, James Dean, he had bought a Porsche. This is a Porsche Speedster from the 50s. It was a very rare car and a very expensive car. Now, he wrecked it and ultimately got killed in it. And when the car was basically generally cursed because each time this car's been in anywhere, it literally hurt somebody. When it was in the garage burnt down. When the doctor, he bought parts from that car, put it in his race car, ultimately got killed in the car. The car is basically a jinx. When they tried to tow the car away, the engine fell and landed on somebody's foot. So the car is basically cursed. And of course, we also recently heard from, I think this was 2 or 3 years ago, Paul Walker. He died in a Porsche Carrera GT, and of course, that's really sad. And I say the only reason why I think Porsche are generally really lethal is because their weight distribution. They are mid-engine cars, and you think that they will really do good with the handling, but most Porsches don't do good when it comes to handling, which is ultimately why they are lethal when it comes to their handling. Now, don't get me wrong, Porsches are really cool cars, but it's just that their handling and steering, it can ultimately lead to someone's death. And of course, they've been heard to lead to people's death. So, the 811, real nice car. Is the cheapest out of all three cars that have been dishing out on here. Of course, we had the, I don't know what that supercar is. I freaking forgot the name of it, but I hate it. It's that first supercar we had, that very fast one. You had the 811, of course, and the last car which came out, I think was today, that is the 770. And those cars are really cool. All these cars are really cool. The cheapest one is the 770. That's around $600,000 or $700,000. Really cool, but that's a sports car. It's not a supercar. The 811, out of all three cars, to me, it's got to be the best because the handling is pristine. It's really fast, and I think it's better than let me look up the name of this car because I literally forgot the name of it. I think it's the X80. Yeah. The X80, don't get me wrong, it's a cool car to many of you people, but I don't like it because, first of all, before the 811 came out, this car was unfair. It was literally unfair when it came to racing. I would have my T20 and I was racing with other people, and when they put that car out, it was like a huge disadvantage because my T20 was the fastest car I've got, and at one point the T20 was the fastest car in the game. But right when the X80 came out, it changed the whole distribution. The T20 lost its top of the list of being the most fastest car in the world in the game, and the X80 just stole it because I don't know why, but the X80 is just ultimately faster. It's now, I think, the fastest car still in the game, but I think the X80 is the second fastest car. No, the 811 is the second fastest car in the game, and it's really fast. It can keep up with the X80, but sooner or later it's just going to get dusted by it. Acceleration wise, it's got the best acceleration in the game. The acceleration is quicker than the X80, but like I said, ultimately the X80 would creep up and literally you would get smoked in this car. So the downsides of having the X80, of course, is there's got to be one downside to every cool car. The X80 is not a perfect car, and the only reason why is because the handling sucks. I am generally good with handling with cars with bad handling. I've had the Slam Van and I've had the Windsor Coupe. Those two cars are on the game had the worst handling. In the X80, its handling is so loose. You literally have to be an expert driver. Now, don't get me wrong, I can drive it. It's easy. I can handle it. But the car literally is hard for me to drive. And I've driven cars on this game with very terrible handling. That car really is hard to handle. When you get speed and you try to make a corner, it literally is hard to make that corner without hitting the wall. So the X80, like I said, nice car, bad handling. The 811, it has great handling. It has great acceleration. The top speed is just that it's right below the X80. So if you were to compare both cars, they'll be right there in the mid-range. Nobody would basically know which car is better because they both are really great. Not saying they're bad cars because they're just really awesome cars. The reason why I picked the 811 is because it's affordable. It was around the 1.35 million, if I'm correct. So it was the fastest car that I think that was really more bang for my buck, because I did not want to spend $2.something million on that car because I hated the handling. I like this car because I can actually keep up with it. I just won't win any races with it, but unless you're really good at driving, it's not about the car, it's about who drives it, basically, was what I say. You can have the fastest car in the whole game, but still lose a race against probably a T20. And I've won a few races with the T20 when it comes to the X80. And that's because people just don't know how to drive it. So it's not up to the car, it's up to the driver. So you still might have a chance of winning if you do have one of these cars. So the acceleration of this thing is really awesome. 0 to 60, we're going to test that out right now, and then we're going to close out with today's episode. So I'm going to get my clock ready so we can really test out the top speed of well, and the acceleration of this car. This car has some wonderful acceleration. Like I said, it's got the best acceleration in the game. I have no complaints about this car. Really, I don't. So let's get started with the 0 to 60. Got my clock ready. Hey, that was really quick. 0 to 60 in 2.62 seconds. That is really, really quick. And that's just astronomically quick. So this car on a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 10. On a scale with the performance, I give it a 9 because, like I said, it won't be able to keep up with the X80, but the acceleration is very beautiful. It's really cool. So performance has to be a 9. Styling. Now, the styling, on the other hand, is a question because lots of people will say this car is really ugly, and I don't blame them. It's not the prettiest car, but to me, it's cool. I always thought this thing was really cool. I changed the bumpers to have this really weird fish look, and I liked how the bumpers set, and I like how it looks. So it's ultimately a cool looking car. So styling, that depends. If you like it, you gotta hate it. There's people who like it and they hate it. So that depends on you. Poise, sophistication, and basically utterly class and taste. This thing has a scale of 1 to 10 of 10 because it's really cool. It has a lot of sophistication, a lot of poise and elegance. This is a really cool car. So my recommendations for this car is basically for basic people who just newbies. Don't buy this car because, like I said, this car might have some good handling to me, but trust me, this car is too powerful for you. So if I was you, I'll stick to the T20. Don't get the 811 either because the 811, I mean, not 811. Don't get the X80 either because the X80 is just too much car to handle. It's too wild. It's like a bucking bronco. You don't know where you're gonna end up at if you don't know what you're doing. So this car is really cool. It's really perfect, and I love it. Rockstar, please keep dishing out cars like this, and I would really like to see some more classic cars on here. Like, I really would like to see previous cars from previous games to come back on this game, and most of them are all classics. Most of them are classics that I really would like to see return on this game. So probably in the next episode, I'll probably be talking about the cars that I wish they would really return from previous games on here. So until then, this is What a Doozy 1929 here, signing off with the wonderful Pfister 811.